If you've ever been driving down the highway at night and you just couldn't see exactly where you're going, your headlights are too dim, and you accidentally bump into something like this guy did, no problem, this video is for you. If you've got a 19 Ram, you didn't get the factory LED headlights, I'm going to show you guys the best upgrade you can do for your low and high beam. So let's get started. Starting with the passenger side of the truck, the first thing we need to do is remove the air box, and you can do that with a 5/16 socket or a flat screwdriver. Loosen the hose clamp like this, and slide the hose clamp off the air box. From there, the air box will just lift out like so. Now that the air box is out of the vehicle, we can actually reach the dust cover for the low beam bulb. So go ahead and reach into the fender here, turn it counterclockwise, and remove the dust cap from the headlight. Remove it like so. Try not to drop it, it'll fall into the fender liner and that's no fun to remove. With our dust cover removed, we can reach in, turn the factory halogen bulb counterclockwise, and the harness isn't super long, but you can pull it out just enough to unplug the bulb from it. This is what your bulb's going to look like. The bulb we're going to be installing today is the S-V.4. Out of the hundreds of LED bulbs that we've tested over the last year, trying to find the perfect bulb for the 19 Ram, this one was the best by far. The S-V.4 fits the headlight, it's got a low profile heatsink, it is fan based, and it is unbelievably bright compared to stock. I'm going to show you guys in just a second here. We're going to pull it into the studio and fire it against the wall. You're going to see the beam patterns before and after. I'll let you decide for yourself if this is something you want to do to your truck. Now, this is what it looks like compared to the stock halogen bulb. As you can see, dimensionally, it's not much bigger, and that's a very, very important thing to consider when choosing an LED bulb for the 19 Ram. The dust cover fits tight to the back of the headlight, and so you can't just pick any run-of-the-mill bulb, slap it in there, and have the dust cover fit back on. Now, the 19 Rams have a complicated CAN bus system that monitors a lot of the bulbs on the exterior of the vehicle. And what you'll find with cheaper LED bulbs on the market today is you'll get a flickering, a strobing, or they just flat out won't work at all in the 19 Ram. Thankfully, we've got these modules from GTR Lighting that were designed specifically for the 19 Ram. If you plug it in just like so, and install this into your headlight, you're not going to have any flickering, strobing, bulb out warnings, or any of those other undesirable side effects of installing the cheaper LED bulbs. So, I'll show you guys how all this fits. Now the trick here is to install the PWM module toward the bottom of the headlight. So go ahead and connect the PWM module to your factory wiring. It'll click together real nice like so. It'll snap together just like so. Take the PWM module and install it toward the bottom of the headlight. So reach into the opening. And this is probably the hardest part of the install, is just getting everything situated back into the headlight. It's a tight fit. Thankfully you can access it, but there's plenty of room below the headlight where the bulb itself sits to install both the PWM module and the LED bulb driver. With all of that situated, you can finally install the LED bulb and twist it clockwise to lock it in place. With the bulb installed, you can take your factory dust cap and reinstall it onto the headlight. Now, after doing all that, you can probably see why it's so important to choose the right bulb for your 19 Ram. You don't have much room, there isn't much margin for error. The last thing you want to do is go through all this work just to discover that your dust cover no longer fits on your Ram headlight. So, the low beam's installed, let's move over to the high beam. Now, moving on to high beam, the high beam is much easier to upgrade than the low beam on this particular truck. Twist the dust cover counterclockwise, twist the halogen bulb counterclockwise, and unclip it from the factory wire harness, just like that. And the high beam on this truck does not require a PWM module, so you can take your new S-V.4 bulb, insert it into the opening, and connect the driver to the factory wiring. Now, with everything connected properly, go ahead and reinstall the driver into the headlight. It'll fit right along the bottom. And finally, we can reinstall our factory dust cover. Now, with the passenger side done, we can move to the driver's side, and I just wanted to show you guys how much easier this side actually is compared to the passenger side. All you have to remove over here are these two grounding wires right here by the battery. They're two 10mm nuts. If you remove those, you can reach in and do the low beam. So I'll show you how to remove them. Then I'm going to run through, do the low beam, do the high beam, and then we'll pull this into the studio and I'll show you just how much brighter these are. Now, as you can see, by removing these two grounding wires, I can reach my hand into the fender and access the low beam bulb a little bit easier. So it's right in here. I'm going to do that quick, and then we'll head to the studio. So we've got our 19 ram pulled in the studio now, and as you can see, the low beams aren't great. This came in at 720 lux. Lux is your usable light output firing down the road. It's the best measurement of how bright, or in this case, how dim your headlights are. You know, it's kind of middle of the range. We've seen better, we've seen worse stock. Let's see what the S-V.4 does in this headlight housing. Now, the S-V.4 came in at a whopping 3070 lux on the low beam. As you can see, we've still maintained our beautiful cutoff line from the factory. I gotta be honest, out of a reflector headlight, you normally don't see a cutoff line. These rams have a really good pattern and they've got something that resembles a cutoff line. Normally you only see that with projectors, so good job, Ram. You created a nice beam pattern, and in this case, we've brightened it up with the S-V.4s. 3070 lux, a major improvement over 720. Now, before we head on over to high beam, I want to show you guys something real quick. When I'm talking about not all LED bulbs being created equally, this is what I'm talking about. We just installed a $60 set of Amazon bulbs. The crazy thing is they had a 4-star review and they had just over 1,000 reviews on Amazon, so they're not a terrible bulb according to the internet. But as you can see, we got a lot of scatter. We picked up a lot of glare above the cutoff line, and this is what we're trying to avoid when upgrading headlights. We do not want to be blinding oncoming traffic. In this case, we would have to adjust these so low to not get flashed by other drivers that they wouldn't be a viable option for us. Not only that, but our hot spots disappeared on the left and right. So our intensity's gone, we picked up glare. This is not what you want if you've got a 19 Ram. Now, the Ram high beam actually isn't terrible from the factory. It came in at 1,730, and that's actually a really good thing for us because LED bulbs will not necessarily fix a beam pattern. This beam pattern is great, it's got a nice high intensity, and honestly, if the halogen bulbs are this bright on the high beam, they are going to be unbelievable when it comes to LED. So let's head on over to the S-V.4 footage and see how that looks. Now, this came out to be one of the highest numbers we've ever seen on this channel for a lux reading on a high beam. This came in at 6,760 lux with the S-V.4 installed in the high beam of our 2019 Ram. That is unbelievable. Up from 1730, 6760 is unbelievable. It's, like I said earlier, it's one of the best ones we've ever tested. As you can see, we've got an insane amount of intensity on the left and right hotspots. If you're driving down the road at night and you need a little more punch on the back roads, this is going to be an awesome high beam. As you can tell, that's a night and day difference compared to stock. Hopefully the next time this gets driven at night, nobody bumps into anything, and these headlights should help with that. Now, if you need anything else for your Ram, if you need some of the world's brightest reverse lights, maybe some better cargo lights, we've got you covered. Check out our channel, Headlight Revolution on YouTube, and check out our website, headlightrevolution.com. We're always publishing new content when it comes to these 2019 Rams, and I'd love to show you guys everything we're working on.